Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Nuggets News. Today we've got a special guest who's leading a stablecoin on a great Bitcoin layer 2 that we've mentioned several times. So welcome Akash, who's one of the founders and CEOs of Palladium. How are you, Akash?
Hey, Alex, good to be here. I'm doing really good. And thank you so much for inviting me. It's great to be here.
You've got a super interesting background in IT. You're over in Dubai at the moment for Token 2049 as well. But yeah, why don't we start with a bit of your background and all the IT stuff before you got into Bitcoin and crypto?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I'll say that, I am a Bitcoin guy or I am a crypto guy since uh, there is no background I have before crypto. I jumped into the space pretty early. Um, I heard it. I first heard about Bitcoin in my sophomore year during my undergrads in my cryptography class when a professor told us about one of these strong use cases that was Bitcoin, and of course that was like 2014. So of course not a lot of validation. Very few people used to talk about it, but we got the chance to heard this word Bitcoin. I went back to the dorm, uh, googled it up, read the white paper, and can say pretty psyched up about this entire paper that has been written. Like, felt that it's an amalgam of beautiful amalgam of mathematics, economics, psychology, philosophy, and whatnot as a subject. It's like everything that we have studied is like put it together in one piece of paper.
Yeah.
Of course, there was not a lot of validation that has been done. There has only been one cycle that has passed. But of course, that one cycle we were able to relate that how Satoshi wrote it in 2008. That's how exactly in that kinds of played out in 2011 to 2013 market.
Yeah.
So that was very interesting to see, and that got my attention. That got me interested. I kept going down this rabbit hole. Got involved in the Reddit. Got involved with the core Bitcoin developers community back then. Started discussing, and yeah, I think that's how I'll say that before I jumped into anything else, I jumped into crypto itself. Um,
You've got
we kind of
a very forward thinking professor to be mentioning that in a class in 2014.
Yeah, he is one of the top professors at IIT Bombay and in India actually. So that was great. So I think that's how kind of got exposed with Bitcoin, and then I we founded a Bitcoin club inside the college. Got some like-minded people to speak, to discuss around the topic. So that went on for around 6-8 months, and then all this hype around Ethereum started to build up. Ethereum's ICO, Ethereum was coming. This smart contracts ability, and of course, for us programmers from the computer science background, this looked like a lot more interesting because we have already been, kind of forking Bitcoin and trying to change Bitcoin code base to do things that we want. But now this promise of a smart contract, and you will have a sophisticated way to do that,
Yeah.
rather than kind of you fork Bitcoin and change their code to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
This seemed all very sophisticated, and kind of that's where this entire club we kind of we started looking more into Ethereum. I also get more into Ethereum, and that's where I found an opportunity to build my first company around in the enterprise blockchain space. So very soon that club has into initially a consulting company. And that's where we landed one of the major government in India, a state government in India, Rajasthan, who were looking to kind of secure their digital identities and uh, create a frictionless data sharing model between different departments of the government. We started consulting them around that, around that how cryptography can solve that. We didn't use the word GK back then, but it was all the GK proof that we used to build that tech.
Yeah.
Uh, it took us a while because it was a scalable project. We had to onboard more than 53 million data points. Uh, so there was like 53 million was the population of Rajasthan back then,
Yeah.
and they already have a system in place, and we had to port this entire data to create these data points, and that kind of given a very good experience, a very good hands-on of how you can do things on Ethereum.
Yeah.
And I think within 2 years of jumping into crypto, we created one of the biggest networks of India, where more than $50 million of transactions in public benefit distribution happened. The network is still up and running. The government has expanded it to more use cases such as electronic health records. So that was the first break we got. I finished up my college. I didn't have to drop out, fortunately. That went side on well.
Yeah.
The company was already doing good. We were making some good revenue. So I continued working full time on that company. And finally, in 2019, Oxysis was acquired by a deep tech AI firm who were looking to be built in supply chain. So I think this was my first company's journey that I did into. After that, again, until this point, uh, I was a crypto guy. I have been advocating Bitcoin a lot, but more I have been more into the developer mindset and building more on the Ethereum and Cosmos and all those kinds of smart contract based system.
Yeah.
Then I kind of jumped into the sustainability industry. Towards to We thought that blockchain can help a lot into the sustainability industry.
Yeah.
Worked a lot around over there. For 2 years, we figured out solutions that how we can make this industry more transparent, more efficient. However, we realized that sustainability is something far from what I can achieve in the industry. Uh, it's a very deeply penetrated industry, and I also had a question of that how much legitimate this industry is, because the industry sometimes feels like that it's controlled by, again, a bunch of corporates
Yeah.
who are probably using sustainability as a word for their advantage. And me putting blockchain is like felt like, of course, at a lot of places it was good, but at a lot of places we felt that this technology is being used to fuel up propagandas.
Hmm.
So although that company is doing really well as well, it's a profitable company. More than 200 brands are securing their data provenance onto the network. And However, I quitted that company in 2021, and kept working and started working with Kasha Crypto Bank, where I provided DeFi fund management, risk management services. I was handling more than $150 million of their portfolio in DeFi. And This was the time when I completely entered into the DeFi space, founded Rivera, and yep, now here I am uh, with this renaissance of Bitcoin happening. Again, I went back to these 8 years journey when I started with Bitcoin, and now with all this newfound ability of things being able to build on Bitcoin, that kind of brought me back. That this is what I loved. Bitcoin is what I loved when I entered into the space. And now I'm again getting this chance to redeem myself by working for Bitcoin. So very happy. I'd say that never more satisfied, although I had worked all my life with it, but can say that now building in Bitcoin is like giving me the most satisfaction that I could get. So that's the journey. That's the journey I have.
Well, well done. That's an amazing story. And I think for a lot of us, it's exciting to see Bitcoin come full circle now with developers that have learnt a lot from other ecosystems and now trying to deploy that and give Bitcoin further utility. Maybe before we dive into Botanix, which is the Bitcoin layer 2 for people at home that Akash and the team are building the Palladium stablecoin on. You said a couple of interesting things about the climate and sustainability side of things. A lot of people are trying to solve, like the Oracle problem about how do you get the truth from the real world on chain, particularly in those industries that are controlled by some big players. But I guess there's a similar problem or fear in the digital ID space that you mentioned before you've worked on. So, what are your thoughts now? Because just in Australia, a week or two ago, we had the digital ID bill pass the Senate, and a lot of people are really worried that this is just going to be used for totalitarian control, government issued digital IDs, and you get your carbon credit score, and you can't do this, that, or the other. What are your thoughts about it, like the privacy side of things, and can we maybe do this in a more decentralized fashion where people own their own data and still have privacy? Versus, it's like almost like the government issuing the central bank digital currency versus Bitcoin. So yeah, what are your thoughts around digital identity and where that sits today?
I mean, of course, it's something that government is. I mean, governments are something that kind of they have been with more and more times that has been passing. They do want to take more and more control. Uh, I mean, of course, they have their fair share of reasons that why they want to do that, and that's very convincing to the population as well. Um, so I'd say that there are two aspects of this. One is that kind of as you said, having this totalitarian authority where they have a lot of these data about the population, and that's happening everywhere, right? I mean, from inspired by the social security numbers in US, now we have Aadhaar, a very successful project in India, where almost every Indian has to have Aadhaar. Without Aadhaar, you probably cannot be validated as that you are an Indian. Every all of your services are linked, all of your data is linked,
Yeah.
and we have seen, because now all these data are linked, and we have seen that on the darknet side of things, this keeps popping up that just go there and buy identities or data of 50 million Indians. Now, because you created a system where you are creating a centralized system which is more prone to point of failure, a single point of failure,
Yeah.
that and that's definitely that will tend to happen. That has happened with and definitely not just with Aadhaar, that has happened with US social securities number as well, that the data breach has happened many times. So of course, even if from the government perspective they are able to kind of fulfill in their data needs or fulfill in their purposes, it kinds of creates more of a risks on the other facets as well, that kinds of harm their users.
Yeah.
Of course, as a government, to governments, it's difficult to say that you cannot or you will not build this, because that's in their roadmap to kind of create this centralized data hub.
Yeah.
But that's where we feel that the government's Rajasthan government's project, where they were trying to link education, financial, and a lot of data together by using a decentralized based system. um, you can at least try to mitigate that point of failure. You do not create a more centralized layer that, if compromised, kind of leads to all the data being omitted or all the data being stolen at once.
Yes.
um, Definitely, cryptography, GK proofs, all of them has provided us this wonderful technology to take advantage of.
Yeah.
That how you can aggregate data without keeping all the data, everything at one place. Many
Yeah.
governments are looking at it. I'm sure Australian government, and they would also be something, working around the scene, but it's something difficult to grasp, difficult to scale.
Yeah.
So people have been missing out on this. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting answer. It does create that honeypot, as you've mentioned there, for hackers to target and sell and profit from. But moving on, so let's dive into Botanix. What made you decide to work with them? A lot of our viewers at home will hopefully use the testnet already after we interviewed their CEO, Willem. So what's going on in that ecosystem, and what led you there, and sort of what's happening now behind the scenes?
Yeah. So I met Botanix last year. I think it's been like 6-7 months now. Um, during Actually, it was during last Token 2049 in Singapore itself when I heard about them. Found about this fantastic team who has been building on Bitcoin. And of course, back then there was the layer two was not the hype. There were no one was talking about Bitcoin. No one was talking about layer two. ordinals, and BRC20 has just came, a very small community. Things were happening around in that community, which even crypto Twitter was silent and unknown about. And that really inspired, talking with Willem onto that. There are some existing layer twos that exist, such as the Stacks, Rootstock, but how uh, if we want to build on Bitcoin, if we want to build a layer two of Bitcoin, it has to inherently take a lot of different assumptions than when we are building a layer two on Ethereum. Ethereum has a different kind of community. It's of course, the focus on decentralization is very high there, but it's in our opinion, while after speaking with so many Bitcoiners and Bitcoin based builders, the decentralization ethos of Bitcoin, it's something that's unparalleled even by the Ethereum. And Willem has a very strong vision onto that. If we are building up a layer two, that has to be as decentralized as possible. That doesn't have to create any more systematic risks. Uh, and he was very clear upon that, and we discussed upon the solution, this multi-sig based, spider chain based network that's kind of going to create a number of different addresses or number of different keys to secure the Bitcoins that are being bridged into, so that there are no centralized sequencer, there is no centralized way to penetrate in the system, or even for the Botanix or anyone cannot do, even if they want to do anything. A very core Bitcoin based ethos we found. And that kind of, and of course I shared about my vision, that how I see Bitcoin as a how we see that what Bitcoin can achieve. And he talked about his vision, that how a world of finance or the entire world can run upon Bitcoin. And that's what he's building upon Botanix, that a world that's running on Bitcoin just for the namesake of it, but as secure as the Bitcoin itself.
Yeah.
That made me kind of a fan of Willem, and we started chatting more, and and that's where I have been involved a lot with the stablecoin projects before, or the DeFi projects before, and we were seeing that uh, the world needs a highly reliable stable coin, something that if you are putting your stable coin and you can leave it for 3-4 years without worrying about what news are happening, what USDT is happening, whether they are lying about their reserves, whether they are getting audited or not, whether a bank is failing somewhere, uh, without all of these impacts. So kind of vision was simple, that a stable coin that's being entirely upon Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And that really clicked with Willem. We partnered up, and that's where our journey together started for Botanix and Palladium.
Fantastic. And I guess that's how we all got connected to some degree. I've got my Maker t-shirt on from back in the day when they were trying to be the world's first decentralized central bank. And gradually over time, they've just pivoted away from that decentralized ethos, and far more so now in the real world asset direction, putting things like government bonds and government property as collateral couldn't be anything further from a decentralized stablecoin. We saw what happened with Terra Luna and whatnot. So yeah, it still, I guess, exists that problem for someone to solve. And there are a few projects in Ethereum, I think, doing things in an interesting way. But what's, I guess, your strategy or philosophy? How do you think you can successfully build that decentralized stablecoin on Botanix on top of Bitcoin?
Yeah. So we are taking again, kind of the guiding principle has been, kind of provided by Botanix itself, when they say that imagine a world running upon Bitcoin, uh, and a few things are silent here, but I would like to add in that it's the world that's running, kind of and secured only upon Bitcoin. So only is a silent word, where how can you build this system which has no external dependency? Everything is happening upon Bitcoin. So I'll say that was the guiding principle when we started thinking about Bitcoin. Now, of course, the first thing that came in the mind was over collateralizing it by Bitcoin. And we kind of took a conscious decision that we will not accept anything else. Like it's been said repetitively many times, there is no second best. There is no second best. So it's the Bitcoin is the crypto asset that is. And uh, we kind of made this decision that kind of a system where a stable coin which is going to be only and only over collateralized by Bitcoin. We saw people asked a lot of questions about from the scalability perspective, but we saw that kind of uh, in Ethereum or on other cryptocurrencies, you can talk about this scalability because the stable coins scale has reached where it's kind of the Ethereum's market cap or other stable or other crypto assets are not just sufficient to back it up. But when we talk about Bitcoin is on a very different level on a market cap or on the adoption side of this. So kind of a very big scale for these stable coins to grow into hundreds of billions of dollars easily by just capturing 5 to 10% of the Bitcoin market cap. So number one, kind of the guiding principle was that a stable coin that's only backed, that's deriving its total value from Bitcoin. Uh, with the innovations that has happened in Bitcoin, the innovations been done on Botanix, we have already now a way that how we can secure this network that we are building, secure the transactions that the stablecoin is doing, use this entire hash power of Bitcoin to secure our application. Now that's the thing that's a missing element that team at Botanix have been building, and that's what we adopted into that kind of all these transactions finalized and settled ultimately upon Bitcoin to provide this an everlasting security. And then third, which was not directly with Bitcoin, but has to do everything directly with how Satoshi used to think about Bitcoin. And that was about in the approach of governance-less system. So for Bitcoin, there is no DAO. For Bitcoin, there is no governance, unlike every other protocols. Because as you just given the example of MakerDAO, we know that while DAOs decentralize something among a group of people, that doesn't mean that it make things immutable completely. Uh, because again, uh, DAI is being governed by maker tokens, and those people who hold the tokens will always have a benefit into taking those decisions that are going to make this a better business rather than say a more kind of a more reliable protocol into. So
Yes.
of course there is a trade-offs between these, and that's why we made this again a conscious decision that we are going to build upon the design principle of Bitcoin itself. Something which doesn't have any admin keys, something that doesn't have any governance. So even if I am compromised 2 years down the line, uh, I should not have the ability, or no one should have the ability, that along with Bitcoin, they start accepting other BRC20 assets, other crypto assets into. So this is again a fundamental principle that we kept. So these three fundamental principles: over collateralized by Bitcoin, secured by Bitcoin, and governance-less design by Bitcoin, is what makes Palladium a unique or a different stable coin.
Fantastic answer, and yeah, love to see it. So, what stage are you at now? I know you've got some exciting dates coming up, and I'll put all the links below to visit the website and whatnot. But what stage of development are you guys at now?
So our DevNet is live already. We have a number of developers or builders on the Botanix ecosystem that has in different space, from yields, RWAs, perps, who have been playing around, started integration, is helping us with the testing. So that's this DevNet is 3 to 4 weeks now. We have been able to filter out a lot of these bugs, a lot of these challenges that we figured out. The team is completely onto this building. And before end of this month, very soon, we are going to have the public testnet live as well, where everyone on Botanix will be able to mint their own stablecoin, borrow it from the protocol, and start using up in the ecosystem. because we know that we are very close to the launch of testnet. We are also announcing an NFT pre-launch NFT campaign, where those who are already supporting us can go and mint this NFT, to kind of showcase their supports towards this. Yeah.
Fantastic. And yeah, we'll definitely highlight that again for in our research once it does go live and as more projects come out on Botanix. So anything else you wanted to share, Akash, for people at home following along in terms of Botanix or Palladium, maybe the future vision for it, or just Bitcoin in general?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, kind of you mentioned all these three things that I love about these days: Palladium, Botanix, and Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And definitely to say that, a lot of exciting news together is coming up with Palladium and Botanix. With the Botanix V1 testnet now going live, we are getting close to the launch. Uh, Again, a very robust blockchain that has been built by Botanix team. And on top of that, we are seeing to run a highly reliable stablecoin, a very reliable stablecoin, which is going to keep up with the demands of what this new Bitcoin Fi narration has been taking us. We all have seen that, kind of Bitcoin Fi narration has already uh, taken over this crypto cycle.
Yeah.
And stable coins have been lying at the heart of these DeFi ecosystem. And a lot of new and exciting news coming up in this month itself. And kind of here's the alpha for everyone to, kind of stay tuned, because things are going to move very fast in the next 2 weeks. So kind of have a hold on to them, guys.
Amazing. So as I said, I'll put your links below to follow Akash on Twitter, Palladium Project, and Botanix. But yeah, any final thoughts, Akash? I've really enjoyed the interview today. I'm sure everyone has at home, and as you said, it's just stablecoins have always been such a huge part of crypto, and no one's solved that problem yet. So if we can get that stable, over collateralized Bitcoin backed stablecoin, I think it's going to be amazing for the ecosystem. And there's a few people trying to tackle the problem, so it's exciting to see.
Yeah, I think, and it's all again lies in the security and the fundamentals of Bitcoin. While and this is the guiding light. I will again emphasize upon this, that the Bitcoin is the guiding light for decentralization, for all the builders and all the community members out there. Whenever they have a doubt on what's right and what's not right on decentralization, look upon Bitcoin, how Bitcoin does things. And I think that's where, people are going to be answered. So I'm going to leave the audience with this thought that when they are going to think about decentralization, think about Bitcoin, and that's where you will find your guiding light for decentralization itself.
Fantastic. Well, there's been plenty of lightning in the background today, Akash, and there's a storm coming in the Bitcoin world as well, I think, in the Bitcoin DeFi
Yeah,
space. So great way to
I
finish.
was I was supposed to be off for the breakfast now, but yeah, it's like you, and it's Dubai, so you never know, right? That whether it was the cloud seeded by the government or it's a natural cloud, but it's
Crazy.
but looks like the way the weather has turned out, looks like it's a normal cloud. The government wouldn't have seeded this.
Oh, dear. All right, guys. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, share this video around, and I'll talk to you again soon. Cheers.